Hi friends, I'm Les Mood, your host. Welcome to the Destination for Innovation, brought to you by the City of Bakersfield and Green Tech Network. Today we're at Intersolar North America and Energy Storage North America in beautiful San Diego. And we have a special guest with us, Wes. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Les. Great to be here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. So the first question we have is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe something that your associates or the world doesn't know about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working in the clean energy event space for about the last 10 years now, which I've loved. It's a great space to be in for sure. Something my associates or people don't know about me, I used to train sled dogs actually for the Iditarod up in Alaska. It's a lot colder there than it is here in San Diego. Feels like a lifetime ago, but yeah, it was fun.
Wow, that's really amazing. It's a stark difference in weather for sure. And you spent some time in Germany as well?
I did, yes. So I worked for Intersolar North America under the ownership in Germany when it was owned by Intersolar Europe out of Munich. So spent some time there and got to go to that show, which is amazing and like the largest solar show in the world. So it was great to experience.
Yeah, truly amazing. So you said 10 years ago, where would you say, could you pinpoint that your journey began in this industry?
Yeah, so I started out in sales, really, working with big exhibiting companies. And that was kind of the point at which I realized, like, okay, I like doing this, right? I like dealing with these types of companies, solar and energy storage companies, helping to figure out how to grow their businesses. And felt like it was working. I was able to connect with people. And that was kind of the first time. I honestly never really knew what I wanted to do, like a lot of people, right? So that was kind of the first time it clicked for me, was interfacing with these companies in kind of a sales capacity.
Absolutely. So these days, what are you doing to make the world a better place?
Yeah, well, I would like to think that these events help make the world a better place. Our goal here is that, and the way we think about it is that by bringing all these stakeholders together under one roof, that you're accelerating the rate of change. And we all know that is really no area where that's more important than in solar and storage and fighting climate change. So that's the idea. We bring everyone together, they get inspired, they make new connections, and then they can go out and push forward faster than they would have if they hadn't come.
Absolutely. Well, it's really great to be in the Connection Lounge, and on that note, really bringing people together I think is absolutely crucial, and you guys are doing a great job. But there are struggles in the industry, right? There's ups and downs. They call it the solar coaster sometimes. Could you share some struggles and triumphs maybe in your journey or that you've witnessed that people could learn from and that maybe associated wins after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are related to the solar coaster, right? I mean, you had over the last, beyond the last 10 years, but in the last 10 years, these ups and downs that have been driven somewhat by federal legislation, right, and tax credits going away. We're kind of coming out of that now, which is great with these more long-term investments. But having to weather some of those storms was scary, professionally, wondering if some of these things are gonna keep going down further. And so I think some of the things I learned out of that was to really, trust your gut, I think, and kind of also really rely heavily on the connections you made in any one industry. When things get tough, those become a lot more important than when things are really good. And again, tying it back to the event, hopefully people are making more and more connections every day to help bolster that.
Absolutely. Connections, relationships, great advice. Do you have some advice for professionals, additional advice you'd like to share?
Yeah. I think what's helped me a lot is to stay curious, ask a lot of questions. There's always someone smarter than you in the room, right? Who's going to know something more about any given topic than you. So I think just asking a lot of questions and trying to stay humble about what you don't know is really important. And you're just going to learn a lot more along the way, a lot faster than if you didn't ask those questions.
Absolutely. Curiosity, one of my favorite C's in the language. Yeah. So this next part of the conversation is more of a thought experiment. There are some hurdles, there are some roadblocks towards a world we'd like to see, but we're going to think about the possibilities. Are you ready? Okay, so the first question is, what is some low-hanging fruit that the industry or people can bite into to make the world a better place?
Good question. I mean, right now, I guess the easy answer to that, and it is low-hanging fruit, are all the incentives coming out of IRA, and these are complex, right? A lot of them are just starting to roll out now with a lot of that advice, but the more people can take advantage of these, the better. And like I said, there's never been a time horizon that's this long for these kind of incentives in the industry. So we're really going to get a boost here over the next 10 plus years. And the earlier you can get in on all of that, the better. And that's what we're hearing at the conference as well, right? Like now is the time to figure out where the opportunities are and go after them.
Absolutely. Well, the excitement is really high, and there's a lot more interest and new stakeholders engaging as well.
Yeah.
What are some of the bigger challenges and opportunities that you think we should tackle?
The two biggest challenges that I hear come up the most are around interconnections, concerning, right? I mean, you have a lot of projects in the queue already and a lot more that are going to come online, and those interconnection times are getting longer and longer, and it's out of a lot of people's control, so that's daunting. I do not have the solution to that. I wish I did, but it's going to take a lot of smart people coming together to hash that out. So that's a big deal. The other thing that's concerning long-term, I think, and could be a hurdle, are some of the challenges around distributed energy resources, like you're seeing in California specifically with the rollback of NEM. You know, there are good arguments on both sides of it, but if we're gonna fight climate change, we are going to need a lot of rooftop solar, and we need a solution to get it on more roofs. So that's concerning. We got to figure that out.
Absolutely. And speaking of bringing smart people together, what role do you see community playing in advancing green tech?
Yeah, I think community advocacy is super important, especially in an industry like this where you really still are tied into state level and federal level policy. Politicians need to hear from constituents, and that does move the dial still. So the more they are hearing from folks that this is important to them, the more they are going to act. I mean, a lot of politicians act in self-interest, as we know, right? And it's to stay in office. And if doing this will get them to stay in office, if nothing else, then that is a good thing. So you've got to push hard for all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're a young guy, but when you're looking back, your legacy as a result of all the work you're doing, what would you like to see happen?
I would like to see us have a net zero electrical grid economy, right? And I know that's a ways off, but what we're hearing this week, and even over the last year, is we're already making a ton of progress towards that, and it needs to happen. I have young kids. I am very concerned for their future if we don't do this. So if I can contribute even a very small portion to that, that would be a great legacy to have.
In the process of that net zero energy grid in future, do you think it's possible for there to be, an equitable process across the spectrum in there? And if so, how?
Yeah, this has come up a couple times already in the conference this week, of trying to, or needing to make a conscious effort to include, low-income communities in this process, because a lot of studies have shown they're a lot of times the first people to be affected by climate change and the ones with the least means to have any control over it. So I do think that has to happen, and again, it comes down to a lot of advocacy. And at our events, we try and include more nonprofits that are doing that work and giving them a platform to communicate it out, because it is really important, but it's not always the biggest project, right? And it doesn't always have the most money tied to it, so you need to tell a story and get the word out there. So yeah, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for what you guys are doing. You guys are doing a great job. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation and your time to share some of your insights and your journey with us. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Les. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us. Be sure to connect, collaborate, and create with Wes, and we will see you soon.